Hey, Canucks fans, Jim Rutherford, massive interview on the Globe and Mail, literally throws fuel on the fire. This is nuts. Canuckland, there's no room. I know there's no limit to the drama that's coming with this team. I can't wait to talk about all this stuff with you. And I got Jake on the stream too. So let's hit the intro and we're going to dive into trades. We're going to dive into the comments. We're going to dive into everything Vancouver Canucks. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome to Kempner Canucks. My name is RevTrev, and I'm so glad that Jake can be here. Jake, welcome again back to the channel. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me once again, RevTrev.
Yeah, and today's a couple things happened. Just, some fireworks, some like fuel to the fire. And tonight we're going to be talking about should the Vancouver Canucks trade JT Miller or Pettersson or both. And a lot of people are like, what do you mean talking about both? These are some comments that were made today that I want to dive into. And so it's a massive topic, and it's also a controversial topic because I know there's like team Pettersson, and then there's team JT Miller, and then there's people are like, I'm team Vancouver Canucks, and everyone's angry and mad at each other. Now people are swearing at me in the comments, and it's awesome. It's awesome because we're passionate and we love this team and we want to so desperately see us win. So, we're going to be talking about that tonight. But before we do, I want to give a big shout out to Jake, and I want you to promo your channel, bro. We need to get Jake 100 subscribers today, this week. So that is the goal. Okay. We need to help him out. And we got you, man. We got you. Kempner Canucks got you. This army has got you, bro. So
yeah, I appreciate that. To be honest, I told them before I came in here, I'm like, I need 100 just so I can use custom links. Apparently I can't even link my channel to like share my channel until you get 100 subscribers. So if you guys want to be really nice and you guys want to help a brother out, I'm pretty sure you can just click my name there and just subscribe there. I appreciate that. And obviously, thank you so much for Rev over here helping me out. It's really nice of him having me on the show once again. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna anger a lot of people. We're gonna make people smile. It's gonna be hilarious, and we're probably gonna get into it pretty in deep and a lot of trade talk, which I love. I know a lot of people like that. So thank you.
Yeah. And I just want to like premise tonight as like, I love talking about this kind of stuff, and it's interesting and it's fun. And there's actually stuff to talk about. And people have been so angry. Oh, the media or the YouTubers or all this stuff. You're causing this. No, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And I have no problem, Jake. I don't know how you feel, but I'm sure you agree with me on this. Is like, I have no problem if someone has a different opinion than me. It doesn't bother me. Please have your different opinions, share your comments. I mean, be respectful, of course, but like I'm totally okay if someone doesn't agree with what I think, but I'm gonna share my opinions. That's why I brought you on, Jake. I want you to share your opinions, and so I don't get why people get so riled up that someone may have a different opinion. But that's society today. So It is what it is.
Yeah, everybody's allowed to have and they're entitled to their opinions. I always say, as long as it's, respectful and doesn't cross the line when it comes to like obvious things, which I don't need to say. So, yeah, I agree 100%. Like I've been not flipping and flopping, but man, my perception of everything right now is just so out of nowhere, especially with this absolute bombshell of an article that happened today with Jim Rutherford. Oh, there's just so much to talk about, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's dive in. And the big question tonight, and you guys can answer this anytime, should the Canucks trade both JT Miller and Pettersson, or just one or the other? Post it in the comments. Ooh. And we'll dive into that conversation in a moment. But Jake, the question that I've been asking today is this one. What's with the Canucks management? First, Allvin rips into Pettersson, and now Jim Rutherford, our president, is now being transparent about the rift and the need for a trade. Were you as shocked as I was that happened today?
Well, yeah, because it came after 2 wins. So that's kind of like the positivity was in the air, Everything was happy. Everybody was like, did we turn the corner? And Jim Rutherford said, you know what I'm going to do? I am literally going to go crazy and make the Vancouver media go absolutely nuts and make the fan base go absolutely nuts and make everybody go absolutely nuts. And that's what happened. Yeah, I was surprised by it. That being said, like I knew he was going to do it eventually. Thought it would be after a few losses, but it's fascinating. And like, to answer your question there about the whole rift and just in general, the thing is, this has been going on for years.
Yep.
And like Jim Rutherford said today that like basically there's been some good times, and when the good times happened, they maybe kind of thought it was going to stay that way. But it was always kind of temporary, short-lived good times. I do wonder if a part of those good times happened when Elias Pettersson signed that contract. It would make a little bit of sense, right? But right. I'm sure we'll talk about that in depth. But yeah, it's an absolutely incredible, like the fact that the president went out on paper basically and said all this, confirming everything. Like he wanted it out in the open now, 100%. He's just probably had enough. There's so much more behind the scenes I'm sure we don't know about that caused, like, how definitely significantly made this worse than it is for sure. But I don't know what that is, so it's hard to speculate, right?
Yeah, and it's just wild to be like, okay, this is why I love Jim Rutherford, because he does stupid stuff like this. You know what I mean? He reminds me of the old school Don Cherry says too much. He got muzzled by the organization, and there's like Allvin's the only one that's going to talk now. And it's so nice that they let Jim out of the playpen and just to be honest and transparent, because that's all he knows. And I love that about him. I really, really do. Like, I am so tired of boring interviews and everyone's political. I love this kind of conversation that's raw, honest, and the fans want this. That's what we want, even though it's hard to hear for some of us fans. I'm loving this, and it just helps. But the problem is I also felt like it hurt. Now, he's claiming that everybody in the league knows about this, that it's not going to affect trade talks. But I'm like, how can it not affect trade talks? So what's your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm not the opposite, but I don't think it affects trade talks that much. Personally, the way I think about it is these general like these are multi-million. Some like what is the Leafs worth? Like, are the Leafs worth over $1 billion?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, these are massive organizations they have analytic departments, they have scouting departments, they have people that work on their payroll to do many different tasks. I am sure they know all about from way more than we know, doing these videos or live streams. I'm sure they know all about the situation a heck of a lot more. So my way of thinking about it is they already knew. They've been lowballing us, the Canucks, now for weeks, for months. And they knew this is happening. This isn't some sort of big surprise or shocker. That's for that reason alone. I don't think this really hurts the value. I think the value right now is so low for some of these players, especially JT Miller, unfortunately, because he has a no trade clause. He has the history with Tampa Bay and the history with the New York Rangers, so he has a history of kind of being kind of a hard ass, right? And because of that, and because of all that, I don't think personally affects the trade value as much as people are saying. Like, these general managers are not dumb, right? They kind of know what's up, right? So that's my personal opinion. But like what you're saying, it could, if it wasn't, like, perception wise, doesn't look good, because you're basically, especially the comment that really annoyed me was you know what? We're gonna try to get like a base. I don't know if you can find the exact quote, but basically we're thinking about getting like a young second line center, or maybe even a third line center, or something like that. I don't know the exact quote, but it was annoying because you shouldn't talk about specific parts of the package, because now all the teams are gonna be like, well, okay, we'll just give you whatever Jack Drury as the main piece instead of something. You know what I mean? Like so. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is he shares too much information. It's like, why are you sharing this right now? Share this after the trade happens. Like, totally share this after the trade happens.
But at least he's honest. Like, how many times have we said, Rev, like, we want people to be honest in the organization because it adds credibility, it adds, transparency for the fans and the fan base. He's honest about it. I don't for that reason, I really like Jim Rutherford, because he's an honest. Now, is this smart? Well, that can be debated, but at least he's honest.
Yeah, and that's what Gary Mason, who did the interview for the Globe and Mail, said. He came on Sakaris and Price today and said, we criticize them for not being transparent, and then when they are transparent, we crucify them. And I thought that's a really great comment. And it's true. We want this, but then it's like, but I don't know. I think there's a limit. Like, I don't want my GM and my president and the coach to be only political all the time. Like, I don't want that, but I don't want them going over and like, this is crazy. But that's what you get. And I'm okay. I'll take the fireworks. Gives us stuff to talk about, Jake. I'm happy with it. But I just don't want it to mess up. Like, saying comments like a third line center maybe and a like, really, you don't have to say that.
Yeah, you can keep going. I'm gonna just look up the exact quote, because I really want to look up that exact quote. So
yes. So I want to and he also made the comment that we are not going to win with this core. We've tried everything in our power, and you've talked to them. You said, hey guys, and they've kissed and made up, or whatever they want to call it, and then all of a sudden it just keeps going. It's not going to get fixed. So he's like, now our hand is forced. And I think that's a really important part of it that I want to just kind of key in on, is that all these people are upset. And hey, I'm the guy who wants to say, let's keep them all together. They're just struggling here. They're going to be able to figure this out. And those guys behind the scenes are going, we're not able to do that. We've tried everything. We've had players talk to them. We've had management talk to them. We've had coaches talk to them, and it's not going to work. And so that is the wild piece to it, that we're like, I had to hear that for myself today to say, okay, something's got to change now. We can't just win with this happening. It's detrimental to the core.
But that's the exact same. That's the problem right now, where we have a situation here that is so public that regardless of today or not, the values of these players are they're not exactly going up. Now, JT Miller has been playing a lot better recently, and he has put up some decent amount of points. Pettersson still, defensively he's been fine, but like offensively he's been struggling. But then again, like, have you looked on his time of ice recently?
Yeah,
he's not getting minutes. So, like, what's up with that? Like, that makes me more like, he's playing with Hoglander and Carlson. Like, what's up with that? Like, what's happening right now? What is happening right now?
I actually think I have a theory on that.
Okay, let's hear it.
So they were going to trade JT Miller, but because he has a no trade clause and it didn't happen, they were this close to making it happen. And because it failed, they actually don't have flexibility with his no movement clause. And now they're like, we have to trade one of these guys, and they've moved to Pettersson. And I really think that that's part of it, which doesn't make sense for the minutes part, because like, why would you only be playing 14 minutes? But Rick Tocchet doesn't care about that. What he cares about is winning. And so he's trying his best to win games. But when you have him as the third line center, that doesn't showcase Pettersson very well. And so I don't know if he's kind of pouting or what, but I love what they look like on the power play together. They look really good. I love that. I hope that we can keep this band together and see what we can do. And we saw what we could do last year. But, man, I'm just sitting there going, I think they're preparing to move Pettersson, and that is the shift we've seen, and that is shocking to me because I didn't think they were going to have the guts to do that.
Right, like when I read the article, I went through many emotions. Okay, my initial thought was, okay, they're actually going to be trading JT Miller because we kept on talking about like value and stuff like that, right? Like what we can get for him and things like that. And I think that's more kind of mentioning more in the JT aspect or more than the Pettersson, because there's been multiple reports, like 3, 4, 5 different reports from different insiders that are saying that Elias Pettersson would still get a pretty decent package.
Yep.
Not a haul, but a really good package. So I think there's enough teams out there like Buffalo, which I'm sure we're going to talk about later, that could offer some pretty decent package. So I think there's value there. It's happening like a lot of people thought it was going to happen. Because JT Miller has such a no trade clause, he basically said it's Carolina, maybe New Jersey, and it's New York Rangers. They went to the Rangers, found out about all this drama. They're saying, okay, we'll give you Philip Hedl and a first round draft pick and some mid prospect. Canucks said, no, we're not going to do that. I'd rather keep JT Miller. Great. Then they go to Carolina. Oh, maybe they'll take Kokoniemi and a first round draft pick and maybe something else. They're like, no, we're not going to do that. New Jersey Devils, like you heard some of the names, like it wasn't any of the top guys. So obviously the Canucks are saying, well, we're not going to trade him for that now. We might as well trade him in the offseason, but we're kind of pissed off on both players. Let's take a look and see what Pettersson's getting on the market. And then obviously the Carolina potential deal and now Buffalo. So I agree with you. I think they are going to trade Elias Pettersson, which I know that sounds crazy to think about, but I know this is going to sound crazy, guys. And I don't know if I should go on record saying I think they're going to trade both, but I'm still debating if they're going to, because that would be, can you think about how crazy that is? We had Pettersson, JT Miller, and Bo Horvat down the middle a few years ago. And now we're going to have neither from the arguably some of the top 5 centers, like, combined as a team in the league, to none of them. I would find that mind-boggling if that happened, like truly.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. But we'll see. I think there's a lot of smoke and there's a bit of fire. I'm not sure. But let me just show you why I made this video, and I'm so glad to have you on. The trade one or both. It is this quote from, let me bring it up, from Patrick Johnston. He is on Blue Sky, and he said, Jim Rutherford told Gary Mason what we've been hearing behind the scenes for a while, that what Rick Tocchet and Quinn Hughes both discussed. There's a rift between Pettersson and Miller. Rutherford's addition is that it's unsolvable, confirming what Patrick Allvin had hinted at, that a trade is needed. But then it's the second one. He says the situation is now thus a Miller trade for sure, but a Pettersson trade is also possible. It's not one or the other. It's Miller or Miller and Pettersson. That is the quote that I was sitting there going, are you kidding me right now? This is what we're talking about. And so I wanted to bring that up. And that's why, like, people are saying, what do you mean you can trade one or both? He's claiming that it's Miller. It's going to be gone. But then I don't know. That's just what he's saying.
Personally, I think I think JT Miller is the one who's going to get traded in the offseason because the value is not there, and JT Miller is. I'm truly believe that it's either going to be this season or the offseason, but JT Miller's done as a Vancouver Canuck. I think there's enough heat there, and because of his past, I think there's enough heat there. Regardless if you believe that or if you not believe it, but if you feel that strongly about it, I personally believe he's done. So the real question now is, are they going to trade Elias Pettersson? Because they, in my opinion, they are trading JT Miller, but that's an offseason thing. So that leaves with Pettersson. It to me, it depends on the offers, and we'll get into trade ideas, but it completely depends on. I'm okay with trading Elias Pettersson if we get a package where I feel that it's enough of value that it will make the Vancouver Canucks. Doesn't have to make us better. Like, we're obviously not going to get the best player in the deal, but it will make us better as a team. And I don't mean just like third line centers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you later what kind of packages I'm looking at.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so what we're going to dive into, the promo, and then we're going to dive right into some trade scenarios and get into it, because that's why people are here. That's why people want to talk about it. They also wanted to talk about those other things as well. But let's dive into that, and we'll get right into it. So let me hit the promo now. Okay, everyone. So let's get into it. Now, I just want to premise by two things. Okay, so if JT Miller's gone, actually, let's talk about that in a second. I want to push back on this one thing, Jake. Okay,
Rev, let me interrupt you one time only. Okay, I misquoted. Okay, so the quote was. So I finally found the quote. I thought he said a third line center. That's not what he said. He said, so yeah, if a center goes out of here, we have to have some kind of center back, but it's not going to be the same as the center going out as like a number one center. It might not even be a number two center. Okay, so not three, but you have to do the best with what we have until we figure out how to fill that spot back. So that's actually my bad. I misread that quote completely today then. I thought he mentioned a third line center. Like, he shouldn't talk about actual player or like what they're looking for exactly, but it's not third line. At least it's not third line center. I take that back because I specifically said third line. He never mentioned that. He said second line center. Great. So sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm glad you clarified that. Okay, this is my argument when it comes to Pettersson and JT Miller. Now, I would love your thoughts on this. Age, to me, is not a good enough argument to keep Petey or Miller. My thing is who will produce more and who will get us closer to winning a cup. And I know that a little bit is Captain Obvious there, okay? But I do think the age piece, everyone's like, Pettersson's younger, therefore he's going to have a better career in Vancouver. Or, Miller has the experience, therefore he's going to have and has this play style. Therefore, I just don't think you just stop here. You can't just stop here and say, and it's a blanket statement. I honestly think, like, which player will give you the better chance to try to win a cup? And that is the thing for me. I don't care if he's 26. If he's 26 and he's terrible, then it's 26 plus 11.6 million. If JT Miller actually falls off the map, like everybody apparently believes he's going to, they're going to be like, within 1 year, he will be garbage. I'm like, well, you don't know that. You just don't know that. So there's no guarantees on age there. Now, the probability is the younger players should have more opportunity to do that. What's your thoughts about this comment that I've made here?
My comment is basically just shelf life. So, like, what's our window here to win a Stanley Cup? Well, the window is Quinn Hughes. Okay, yep. So that's the window. So who realistically gives you a bet? Like, if the Canucks are saying, okay, let's say hypothetically they want to win in the next 2-3 years, which guy, like, that's their ultimate goal. Well, if that's your ultimate goal, you trade Elias Pettersson or you keep both, right? Because JT Miller has already proven that he is a playoff player. He was basically our best playoff player. But that's not how it works. You have to also think about age. So like you said, like, okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but at the same time, like, you have to think about the health of the organization long term. You have to think about relationships. And from all reports, is Quinn Hughes is really good friends with Elias Pettersson. So, like, how would he feel if Elias Pettersson? Like, at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to what Quinn Hughes wants. I'm telling you, they are talking to him 24/7 about this. He's probably in meetings. He's probably in general manager meetings. He's probably in the president meetings. He's saying, listen, if we do this, will you be okay? Can we do this? Will you be okay? In my opinion, that's what they should be doing. If they're not doing it, they're crazy. Because if they blindside Quinn Hughes with Elias Pettersson trade without talking to Quinn Hughes first, I think that would be absolutely insane. I think that would be pure and utter stupidity if that happened. Because Quinn Hughes is the franchise. Without Quinn Hughes, this team is a bottom 5 team. I'm sorry, it is. It is. We've seen how this team passes the puck. And without Quinn Hughes, this team will drop off the face of the earth. So it really all comes down to Quinn Hughes. And if he gives them the okay, he doesn't have to give it in public, just behind the scenes. If he gives them the okay to make these deals, then let's go on with it. But Quinn is the key. Quinn is absolutely the key here.
So, okay, as we dive in here, let's start with JT Miller, because it looks like, according to Patrick Johnston, that this is the most likely thing to happen. And you're saying in the offseason. So with his no trade clause, okay, no movement clause, he controls his own destiny. And I think that he would want to go to the Rangers. But this is what was rumored now and got nixed, but it's now modified. So this is what we first saying. So New York gets JT Miller, and Vancouver would have received Hedl, Ryan Lindgren, who's a left-handed shot defenseman, and a first-round pick. Now I'm hearing the Canucks were going to do Hedl and a first round, and that's it for JT Miller. What are your thoughts about these two trade scenarios for JT Miller? Would you be happy with this?
I'll hang up the phone immediately after it's offered.
Yeah.
No, so that's a terrible trade. Like, Filip Hedl's all right. He's okay. But he's had massive concussion injuries in his past, and I don't think his upside is anything special. Like, for example, we're going to talk about Buffalo. I think Dylan Cousins is a better hockey player overall than Filip Hedl, and I know that's debatable, but it's my personal opinion. And Ryan Lindgren, with or without him, doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure he's a UFA coming up, and he's been pretty much a train wreck for the Rangers this year. He hasn't been very good. From where now he's been better recently, apparently, but he hasn't been very good based off what I've heard. And then the first round pick is going to be like Rangers are starting to play a little bit better now, so you're looking at a mid to late pick. So, like, come on, like, that doesn't help the team. It doesn't help us now. It doesn't help us in the future. It makes no sense. Hang up the phone, find something else. Wait until the offseason. Put more pressure on JT Miller. More teams will open up and get a proper trade for him.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I don't think that you make a trade with the Rangers unless Schneider's coming back, unless Lafreniere's coming back. But if they made this trade, this is what the team would look like. Okay, so we got this right in the middle of us here. Canuck lines of JT Miller as a New York Ranger for that deal. This is what your team looks like. Now, I highlighted the two guys you're gonna trade for. 55 is. Everyone's like, oh, why do you have Brisebois in there? It's like, no, that's Lindgren's number. Okay, everyone, just dream with me for a second here. So Hedl, and this is healthy too, right? This is healthy. So you got Joshua in there, you got Sherwood in there, and this is just a kind of a proposed thing. I think this looks awful. This looks awful to
it's
me.
Not great. Like, especially, I don't like Lindgren, so maybe I don't know if that's a bias thing, but I don't like him, and I don't mind, Filip Hedl, but I don't think he is the right, regardless of his age. I don't think he is the guy we should target in a JT Miller trade. Let's look elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the other thing. I don't really know what the other scenarios would be, but that's the one. So then let's move to the Pettersson one, and I think it's very interesting that he almost got moved twice to Carolina. So last year at the trade deadline, before he signed this contract, they basically said, hey, we've got a deal in place. And it sounded like Nashis was coming back our way. And hindsight 2020, I'm like, I would actually be quite open to that. If you're actually going to move him, getting a guy like Nashis, like there's no comments about anyone to the highest level of Nashis, even though I don't think he's the God's gift to hockey, but he's got more potential than anyone else I've heard a name of. And then that all broke down. And next thing you know, Rantanen's going to Carolina. It's this monster deal. And it's no longer, I don't think the Carolina thing's real anymore. I don't think they're still open to that. So that's dead in the water. So now we're talking about Buffalo, right? And so let's talk about the Buffalo trade scenarios. And I sent you that one. Would you be open to Dylan Cousins and Bowen Byram for Pettersson? And what was your answer?
It's a complicated question. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Okay, would that be my ultimate trade that I would want for Pettersson? The answer would be no. But is that something where if it happened, would I, after a week or two or a month, would I be like, you know what? It's not the worst in the world? Then probably. But personally, I am a huge fan of JJ Peterka. I would want to get JJ Peterka in any sort of trade with Pettersson. Like it has to be like, I know it's probably overpayment for Buffalo, but like Peterka, Byram, and Cousins would be something I would look at. I would do that deal. You know what? Byram, Cousins in a first rounder that's protected, because they're not going to do an unprotected one. Maybe top 15 protected or something like that. I would probably do something like that as well, because then you can always flip the first rounder for a top 4 defenseman in the offseason, right? So like there's always tricks on that, right? But like if you're not getting a package that significantly makes your team better, at least somewhat in an aspect of, okay, we're not going to get the best player in the deal, but we're going to get enough value out of it that it makes sense, then yeah. But I really like Byram. I think he would be just a fantastic fit. You know, Willander's coming up here soon. You know, Pettersson too. DPD's looking better, looking really good. But I don't know. What's your opinion?
Yeah, well, let me show you. Again, I made another little graphic here. This is what it would look like if we just did the 2-for-1. So obviously there's 2 24s on this team because Dylan Cousins on 24. So I just kept it there. But this is what this team looks like instead. And I actually think it looks better than the other one. But I still not sure, like, is this good enough for us? And I don't know. Part of it gets me excited. What does, and you know how I just said the age piece doesn't matter. It's like, well, this is the one where it's like, ooh, we felt like you really got old with JT Miller, but Cousins and Byram are so young that I'm like, oh, we got a lot younger there too. So, but what's Cousins' ceiling? Like, is he second line center ceiling, or is he third line center guy? Like that's the thing.
Line center. He's a second line center, 100%.
But he's a second line center in Buffalo right now. But does that mean he's a second line? I mean, he would have to be on this team. If Pettersson's not there, he would have to be the second line center. I like the Pekara idea a lot, though, man. I love that. If we could land Pekara and those two guys, I'd be all in. But here's the thing, Jake. Everyone wants to talk about Owen Power. They want Owen Power back. And I don't know, like they want to do Owen Power straight up for Pettersson. What is your thoughts on that? Do you think it's realistic?
Is it realistic? Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I would say like Buffalo is struggling, right? So I can see something like that, sure. I personally would rather get a young center and Byram over just getting Owen Power. Nothing against Owen Power. He's a great young defenseman. He's been up and down with Buffalo when it comes to like talent wise. It's hard to tell what exactly he is. We're obviously not going to get Rasmus Dahlin right in that trade. So,
right.
Would I do it? Like probably, but like I would prefer, like, we're not going to get the better player in the deal. So in that case, I need to improve a different way. My different way of thinking of improving is improving more of like a team aspect more than just this individual aspect. So I don't know. I'm not going to answer your question. I plead the fifth. I don't know if I'll do it. I would have to think about it more.
Well, I mean, it's a good thought, right? Like it's a really good thought. I'm just kind of trying to put this to what the team will look like if that happens, and it gets really complicated. It gets really complicated. What number is Carlson, by the way, off the top of your head? Is it 94?
I have no clue.
Forget.
I'm actually bad with numbers, to be completely honest.
Yeah. So. Okay. Anyways, so I'm just looking at it, and I get why people are saying that. I don't think.
Yes, 94.
I don't know if Buffalo would be. Is it 94?
Yes.
Okay, I'll bring this up in a second, but like I get that like he's a first round pick and all that stuff, but when I watch him, I don't think like when I watch Dahlin, I'm like, wow, that guy's significant. But when I watch Owen Power, I don't see that same thing. I don't get what, like, if you're talking, you have Dahlin, Power, and Bowen Byram. This team is so solid on defense, but why are they not playing better? It's not just because they don't have the forwards. The guy I really want in Buffalo is Tage Thompson. That is the guy I want. And so if there's a way we could pull off a Tage Thompson and Bowen Byram, I would do the deal in a heartbeat.
And Bowen Byram. You're reaching for the skies and the moon.
Of course, why not? Like, I mean, why not? Because if Cousins and Byram isn't good enough for the Canucks, and you got to add Pekara, Cousins, Byram, and they're not interested, then you're like, okay, well, let's like Tage Thompson is a good player, but like, is he a great player?
Yes.
He could be, and he looks like Mario Lemieux without the skill set. That's what he looks like.
I love Tage Thompson.
He's
one of my favorite players in the league. I would drive Pettersson to the airport to get Tage Thompson.
And you're a huge Pettersson guy.
And I am a huge Pettersson guy, as you guys know. I like Tage Thompson a little bit more. I'm not saying like Pettersson, when he is at his absolute best, he's a Selke level 90 to 100 point center in this league.
Yes.
Absolute best. But he has a problem with consistency. And I know Tage Thompson also has a bit of a problem, but he's more of a Rick Tocchet guy. He's a big guy. You know, he can shoot, he can pass. He's been really good for Buffalo this year. Like, he's been really, he had one off season and he's been dynamite since. I'm not sure about the age. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he's around the same age, maybe a little bit older. But he's less cap as well. But I don't think Buffalo would trade Tage. I honestly, 1-for-1, I don't think Buffalo would trade Tage Thompson for Pettersson right now. Personally, I don't think they would. But I really am high on Tage Thompson. So maybe other people aren't as high.
Okay, and I'm cool with that. Like, you can shoot down that idea, and it's too high in the sky. I get it, and I'm cool with that. But I just think, so if you want Pekara, you want Dylan Cousins, and you want Bowen Byram for Pettersson, and maybe we had to add someone, I don't know, like a Höglander or something, whatever. Pekara is their number one left winger.
Yeah, Peterka, yeah, he's number one left winger.
Cousins is their number two center, and Byram's their number top pairing right-handed shot defenseman. So it's like, is Tage Thompson and someone else really out of the picture if we're going to be getting Pekara, Cousins, and Byram? I don't.
Well,
that's
just to clarify. That's my dream. My dream offer for Pettersson, right? Like, I don't personally think Buffalo would do that. I think they're going to offer Dylan Cousins and Bowen Byram. I think that is the most realistic offer there. I don't even think they're going to add a first rounder protected in that. I think they're going to say, okay, we'll give you Cousins, we'll give you Byram, give us Petey. And I don't think the Canucks said yes to that. I think they said no to that, and I think that's why they're still negotiating. Of course, if they gave Peterka as well, like, I am, to be honest, I'm high on a lot of Buffalo Sabre players. I just hate their system. I hate like the way they're coached. It's just they don't play right. It's just a weird thing because they have so much talent, right?
Mhm.
They just play really odd way of hockey, and they have for years. And they give up on their players too quick too. So which is pretty funny considering we're trying to steal them. Like Patrick, for example, who I believe has absolutely 80 to 90 point left wing. Like he's a high potential guy. This guy's really talented.
Yeah.
I've been watching him for a while. He's so good.
Yeah.
I really want him.
So here's the Bowen
happen.
Byram look if we traded Pettersson straight up for Power. Okay. Like this is what the forward lines look like. The defense obviously looked really good. I mean, it might be Hronek on that second line and Power on the other one, but that's what we're looking at. So you've got 225s, of course, because it's DPD and Owen Byram. Or sorry, Owen Power. I mean Owen Power there. So, but those forward lines, that's not to be desired.
For this season,
yes,
sure. Yeah, because like Teddy Blucher's our second line center in this situation, right? But probably Suter would probably take that spot, but still, it's not looking good. But like, what's Owen Power make cap wise? Do you know?
Yeah, I got it right here. It is.
And how many years left?
It is 8.35 for all the way till 2031. So there's a lot of years left.
Oh, okay.
But he's only 22 years old. Dahling's only 24. Bowen Byram's only 23.
Yeah, that makes me more interested in getting Owen Power because, like, obviously if we're getting Owen Power, we're tanking the rest of the season unless you pick up some UFA center to play the rest of the season because like you're not going to fill someone that second line center spot, right? Your defense is going to be better. Willander is going to be here at the end of the year. You know, DPD might stick around for a bit here with Power, Hronek, and Quinn. That's a much better defense, right? But that forward group's pretty rough. So you'd have to fix that in the offseason. You get an extra, what is that? So you said 8 point something cap. So you're saving $3 to $4 million in cap from the PD trade, right? So you're looking at an extra $3 to $4 million to spend on a center. The center market in the offseason is absolutely tragic. But there's a couple of decent names there, but I just feel like they're going to get paid too much.
It's tough. It's
like
tough.
If this stupid rift, can I rant?
Yep.
This stupid rift. Last season we had living the Vida Loca. It was such a fun season. Everybody was happy. Champagne was being everybody was happy. We took Edmonton to game 7. Unfortunately, Brock Besser, had the blood clot. We didn't have Demko. He got hurt, right before that. And just, it didn't work out. Rift rant, so funny. It didn't work out. But I'm just I'm so frustrated because this should have been solved ages ago and it should have been figured out ages ago. And I don't know what the hell happened. And I hope it's nothing, vindictive. And I hope there's not too much mental health problems with stuff because that's going way too deep. And I don't want to go too deep with that type of stuff because it's very personal and even to me as well. But I'll just say this: when I see this situation, the whole point is to play for the crest. It's to play for the jersey. You're a Vancouver Canuck. You know what I mean? It's all about being a Vancouver Canuck. So when I see this and I see two extremely wealthy individuals that just can't figure it out, regardless. Like I said, I don't know all the news. I don't know all the stuff behind the scenes. It might be something that's so bad that, you know what, it would make more sense if it was public. But because I don't know, this is just my opinion on this. It's frustrating to me. I'm mad at JT for kind of being a bit of a meathead, and he's bossy, kind of a bossy guy, and he's, maybe a little too hard. Like Brad Richardson said, he's too hard on some people. So that's an actual player that played with him that said, hey, you're too hard on him. And then you have Petey, who doesn't take criticism well, and he's maybe a little too soft. Guys, man, figure it out, man. This team would be really good if you guys figured it out, stayed on this team. We build around Quinn Hughes and we take some serious runs because you know what? We were Elias Pettersson playing up to his potential away from probably reaching a Stanley Cup last year. 100%. That's serious because I think we could have beat the next team as well and go to the finals if Pettersson was playing up to his. We needed what? 3 goals from PD in that series to really maybe one goal from that. Like, it's just so frustrating. And now we're blowing everything up.
Yeah.
We're blowing everything up. A couple years ago, we had Horvat, JT Miller, and Pettersson. Now we might not have nothing by next year. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you 100%. We should not be in this predicament. And so we have 206 people in here right now. Guys, just hit this like and subscribe. Like this video. Subscribe to Jake's channel. We got to get him to 100 subscribers, everyone. And we have 236 comments, 37 comments right now. I haven't gotten to them. I do apologize to the live chat, but there's so much to talk about. I want to talk about two last things, and I need your opinion on this, Jake, and we're going to dive into comments, okay?
Yeah.
But here's the other guys that are potentially on the trade block, okay? So we talk about Miller, we can talk about Pettersson. We haven't talked about Brock Besser yet. That's a legitimate one. That he might not be a Vancouver Canuck come the trade deadline. And then so a lot of people are saying Demko wants out. And then we've heard so many rumors about Höglander. So, like, we're talking about Miller, Pettersson, but if we're talking about trades, these other guys' names are there too. I think trading Demko might be hard to do at this stage, but everyone else on that list is possible. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, like I said a little bit earlier, I think JT Miller is going to be traded in the offseason. I think he's gone. I would be surprised if they trade him in season just because the offers are not that good. And I think they need to have more of a serious conversation on where he's going to go. And I think he needs to expand that list because they're not going to trade him for nothing. Pettersson, it can go either way. Really could go either way. I don't have a feeling yet if they're going to trade him or not, but they have tried twice now. That means he's not a Jim Rutherford guy. They wouldn't be trying to trade him twice if he was. So, and if I'm Pettersson, I'm probably pretty pissed off about this too. If you think about it, imagine them trying to trade you twice, especially once after you sign the contract. But Brock Besser, he's gone. I believe it. I don't think they're going to sign him for. I think he wants around 8.5. I love Brock Besser. I think he's one of the nicest individuals in the world. Just a pure another class act. He was amazing for us in the playoffs. I just think they want to build this team a little bit differently, and maybe they just want to shake up the core even more, right? Well, trading a guy who's people love, is another way of doing that. So I think he's going to be gone, unfortunately. I don't know. Well, we can talk trade values about him a little bit later too, if you like.
Yeah.
And then Demko, I just hope it gets better. This is not the same Demko this season. I would love to see how he's going to do some off-season training and get back to it and see where he's going to be at. But I don't think we're going to trade him. And I don't think his value is that high, especially coming off this injury. So I don't think. And Höglander, he's been playing better recently. So his value's probably recouped a little bit. So if you want to trade him, like, it is probably a little better of a time now, but still a pretty young guy. Like, it's an interesting name. So, yeah.
Yeah. So there's them. This is the last one. We'll get into comments. We've talked about Buffalo. We've talked about the Rangers. What are some other potential trade partners with the Canucks? Who do you think is actually, there's a lot of smoke. Like, do you think, like, of course, Dallas is like, yeah, we'd take JT Miller for nothing. It's like, we're not looking for a salary dump here. We're looking to make our team better. So what are the teams like? I've heard New Jersey. I've heard these things. What do you think are some actual potential trade partners with the Canucks other than Buffalo? And like, I've heard rumors for Chicago for Pettersson, and I'm like, I've looked at the roster. There's nothing I want off that roster. What do they have other than like a first round pick? Sure. But then that's 3 years from now, that player becomes something on the Vancouver Canucks, or 2 years max, right? So that doesn't help us.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be more of a futures package, which then would be a flipped package. And I don't think that would be for Pettersson. Obviously the JT Miller wouldn't fit that window. So if they wanted Pettersson, I would have to look more deeper into their lineups, because they're not going to be trading guys like, Bedard, right? For example, right? That's not going to happen. So I
keep saying all the time, like, trade for Bedard all the time, and everyone gets mad. I'm like, well, that's the only guy I want. So let me just bring it up. Let me just bring their team up right here so we can see it. Okay. Like, literally.
And Mikheyev.
Right? Mikheyev coming, Dickerson, Dickinson, Mikheyev. Let's get those guys back. I mean, I don't want Nick Foligno, even though he's a captain material. Tyler Bertuzzi's fine. Don't want him. You know what I mean? Like this team has nobody that I'm interested in. Like Seth Jones makes $9 million. No thanks.
I like Vlasic. Vlasic's really good.
I mean, but how old is he? Like 20,000 years old? Like, you know what I mean?
Vlasic?
So
he's 23 years old.
Oh, he is? Oh, I thought it was the other Vlasic from like back in the day. Okay, so
not that one, no.
Sorry, my bad.
It's okay.
But yeah, so like this is the hard thing, right? Like, who do you get off of there? Because Vlasic is making $4.6 million for until 2030, and he's 23 years old, left-handed shot defenseman. So I guess he's the only guy that has value there. Like Seth Jones, 9.5 until 2030. Man, that's no thank you. And he's got a no movement clause. 30 years old.
Like that for anything to do with Chicago, like it doesn't make sense for us unless we go pure futures deal. Like I would want a guy like Vlasic in that deal. I would want a guy like Oliver Moore, for example, in that deal, because those are like great young players. But like I don't think that would make sense with what we're trying to do. Like Quinn Hughes wants to win a Stanley Cup. Like those guys are not going to help us win right now. So that's why that type of trade just doesn't make much sense. So I'll have to look at a different team. But go to Anaheim.
Absolutely,
because they're my
right now.
If you guys know me, I love Anaheim. Anaheim is my. Oh, they have so many good young players there. So many.
Carlson.
Yeah, Carlson, McTavish, like Mason McTavish. There's a guy who's playing on their third line that could potentially move up to be a second line center, maybe even a first line center. He has tons of potential. Really good player. I really like the Anaheim Ducks. They have a good pool system as well.
What about their D?
I
mean, obviously, Trouba's too much money.
Who do they have on? Who's their best defenseman?
Well,
I really don't know. Probably Lacombe. Is it Lacombe? Is that?
I don't even know, bro. Like honestly,
I think that probably like he's like 23, 24 years old.
Yeah, like Gudas is 34 years old, right? Lacombe's 24, and he's a left-handed shot defenseman making just under $1 million. He's on that. I think he's on the rookie contract, $925,000 for next 2 years, and he's an RFA. Like so yeah. Like I mean, it would have to be Lacombe and McTavish. I mean, that seems really low at the same time. I don't know.
Like I said, these are all futures packages, right? So like, it doesn't like again, like the only thing that makes sense of these is you stack up with picks and prospects, and then you flip them for top 4 players in the offseason. Like that's the only way it makes sense for a futures type deal. Another interesting team you can look at is what's it called? The Ottawa Senators, but they're playing much better nowadays, and I don't know. Like you're saying, other than the obvious teams, right? Yeah, they're playing much better right now, so I don't think they would be thinking about trading. But like,
but what's wild, bro? Trevor Zegras, I know he's got all kinds of baggage. He's only 23 years old.
Zegras, I'm not a big Zegras guy.
I'm just saying 23. But he's making $5.75 million for the next 2 years. Then he turns into RFA. But like 23 years old, he's got his whole future ahead of him, and we know he's got talent. I know that nobody wants to do that deal, but I'm like, if you got a Zegras back and you couldn't get your like Carlson or McTavish, Zegras and Lacombe might be like that. Actually, might not be a bad moment if you also got a pick with it.
I'll cry. I'm not a big Zegras guy, and Pettersson is just worth more than that, simply put, in my opinion, personally. I agree. Now, if it was Zegras and McTavish and Lacombe, then we can talk. But
so I've been listening to a lot of Ottawa fans because they've made videos about Pettersson, and I would just want Brady Tkachuk. They'll never do that. They would never trade Pettersson for Brady Tkachuk. Okay, no one's trading Stützle for Pettersson. Okay. But what they keep saying, the fans keep saying, is Josh Norris and Batherson, they want to do a deal like that for Pettersson. That's what they want to do.
I wouldn't do that deal.
Or they say Pinto.
I like Pinto more than Josh Norris, but I still wouldn't do that deal.
And then these are the defensemen here. And a lot of people are like, just throw in Hamonic, throw in whoever. And they want to get this deal done for Pettersson. They really want a Pettersson there. So yeah, this is what you wanted to look at this team. Here it is.
Yeah, I like Shane Pinto. I actually think he has a lot of potential. I'm not sure how old is he. Is he 24, 25?
Oh, look
24.
Right now.
24.
He is 24 years old.
Yeah,
nice
24
one.
years old. Great young player still. Has really good potential still. A really good player. But again, okay, so let's just say you're doing Shane Pinto, Drake Batherson, a first rounder, and some defensemen. It's just like it's like the Rangers trade for JT Miller, kind of. It just doesn't make sense, right? I just think this is what I mean. Trade with Buffalo, at least there's just so many options there. There's so many different ways to make that deal. I don't really know any other teams that, I'm sure if we really want to deep dive into every single team, we can find something else that works. But I don't know.
Yeah, so the reason why I wanted to bring this up, Jake, is because it's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
And you know that the management has looked into all these things. And so I wanted to kind of show that to show people, hey, I mean, it's easy to pretend like you're playing NHL 25 and you just you keep spamming it until it works or whatever, but it's not how it works. The money, the term, the age, all that matters. And so it's a little more difficult. That's why the Cousins, Bowen, Byram, it's basically moving out the money of Pettersson, and you're just getting two players for that. That's exactly what's happening there.
Rev, do you have the list of the top UFA centers in the market?
By any chance? But I can find it.
Yeah, do me a favor. Try to find that while you're doing this. And because the reason I'm bringing this up, Rick Dhaliwal did mention that a futures deal is something they are interested in doing now. I think, or was it Friedman? I'm not sure. It's one of the two. So let's just say we do a futures deal. In my opinion, a futures deal means picks and prospects and maybe a young player. So if you're trading Elias Pettersson for picks and prospects and a young player, you're probably saving $8 to $9 million in cap space. If you use that cap space on a top-end UFA center, then you add that towards the trade. For example, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, they did that when they got rid of Nate Schmidt to the Vancouver Canucks for, I think it was a third rounder or something. And then they went out and they signed Alex Pietrangelo, right? You guys remember that back in the day? This happens from time to time. You get these trades where it looks awful on paper, but then when they sign the guy, it looks much better, right? So they might do something like that as well. Also, you can flip first rounders for a top four defenseman, for example, that might be available. So there's that way of improving your team. It's a lot more work, but it's an option, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to do a trade with Chicago, for example.
So here they are. Tavares, Backstrom,
Nice.
Gord, Granlund. I don't mind Granlund, actually. Dvorak, Sam Bennett, like him a lot. Fabre, Brandon Tanev, I like him, but I don't think he's not a top centerman. McTavish is there. That's one of the guys you have on that list. Matt Duchene only makes $3 million. That's crazy. Yeah,
This
I mean,
is
there's
rough.
That's rough, man.
This is rough.
And most of them will be signed back with their team.
So, Tavares is not going to do it. We don't want Backstrom. Gord's okay, but doesn't fit the role we're looking for. Granlund's good. He's probably going to get a pay increase, and he's old. Dvorak doesn't fit. Sam Bennett would be nice, but he's going to get a huge contract. Someone's going to go out and get him pretty heavy. Velarde's an RFA. He's not going anywhere. Mason McTavish, RFA, not going to go anywhere except for a trade. Brandon Tanev would fit third line role. Duchesne's always hurt. Is it Sagan or Duchesne that's always hurt? It's one of the two. That's always hurt.
Both of them.
Yeah. Shane's actually, he has good career resurgence. Actually, I know that because he keeps picking them in my auction pools, and they always seem to do well with him. So, but yeah, like look at that list, guys. Like chat, lovely chat on Twitter, lovely chat on YouTube here. Like look at that list.
It's bad.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's rough. All right, let's dive into some comments. There's a lot of comments in here saying fire Tocchet. And it's like, I don't think it's a Tocchet problem. I do think it's a player's problem. A lot of people are saying Aquilini sell the team every time the Canucks struggle. We see that. I don't really want to get into that conversation, even though I do appreciate people saying that. You know, so they're entitled to their opinion, but I'm not there. I don't know. What are we going here? Yeah, right. Chicago's first round would be pretty high. Yes, it would be. It would be hard to get that off of them for sure. Roberto says trade Petey to Montreal and get Caulfield. That's actually, I don't know if that's possible. Montreal. Let's just look at Montreal for a second. Initial thoughts on that one?
You're trading a potential number one center for a winger. Caulfield's amazing, great shot, great young player, can score 40, 50 goals probably, but it's just for a winger, right? So I don't think it makes sense for what we're looking for. We're looking for a young center back in a trade, especially after looking at that UFA market. It is rough. So you have to get a center back in a trade for PD or JT Miller.
And he's making $7.85 million until 2031. He's 24 years old. Yeah, that would be rough. Okay. So we'll say
great player though.
Yeah. I don't mind that. What's the defenseman that could go with it too?
Give me Lane Hudson. It's not happening.
The guy beside him, is it Caden Gould? Is that Gould?
Yeah, they wouldn't trade him. He's a beast.
Yeah, okay.
I love that. I love him. He's a really good player.
Yeah, but so if it was him and Caulfield, then but he's making dirt cheap. He's making dirt cheap this year, and he's got $5.55 million until 2031.
Yeah, so that's a great deal. It's gonna look so good. He's a really awesome defenseman. Yeah. Really like him.
Yeah, so he's not going to be there. Okay. Of course, we're all on the Bedard thing for sure. Miller for Demidov. That would be interesting for sure. But I don't know if they would do that. Okay. Paralyzer, I haven't seen you in the stream before. Welcome. By the way, it's 241 people. Make sure, everyone, you hit the like on the video here, but also subscribe to Doodle Hockey. We need to get him 100 people tonight. Gotta get him tonight. I think Detroit is a very interesting Pettersson team under the radar. Could Vancouver get Sandin Pellikka, Casper, or a quick retool of guys close to playing to join Nylander? Well, the thing about Sandin Pellikka is that is the draft pick we traded. That's the one we traded, and we could have had him already. And so it's a little frustrating for me, but I don't know are we just going to go Team Sweden? Is that what the plan is here then? Nylander, but I guess if you're trading Pettersson, you're getting rid of a Swede as well. I don't know. Do you think that's a little too little?
The problem with Sandin Pellikka is we have Quinn Hughes on the power play. So like his biggest attribute, the best attribute he has is his power play work. And I guess you could play both of them on the power play, sure. But the biggest part of Sandin Pellikka is the power play potential. And with Quinn Hughes, then it's kind of redundant unless you really think Quinn Hughes is leaving. Well, then that's a whole different scenario. So so like that wouldn't be like, it's not the worst offer I've seen so far.
Yeah, this one about getting the first overall pick, and it's just straight like, I don't know how they couldn't take on the salary for us, right? So they're thinking if we could get the first overall pick, that might be really amazing. I mean, obviously that would be interesting.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah, and
They'll
another
put
one
that in
here
any
is,
trade.
no one's going to give Larkin and a D-man for Pettersson. I think Larkin's too good to do.
Hey,
that.
Rev, would you do Larkin 1-for-1 for Pettersson?
I would seriously consider it.
That's well, I'm not sure what Larkin's contract is, but that would be interesting.
I'm bringing it up right now.
Like if you just wanted to shake it up, like I would still say the Pettersson ceiling's higher, but Larkin's a hell of a player. Very similar style of player to Pettersson.
8.7 till 2031 and 28 years old. 8.7.
28, eh? He's 28 now?
Yeah. So I thought he was younger than that. I don't know. He's older than Pettersson. That's a tough one.
What's Pettersson's? Pettersson's what, 26, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll pass. It's an interesting thought.
Yep. And then, Jay's like, you can't trade Pettersson, you can't trade Miller. You can fire Talkett though. and it's true, but it looks like they've just determined they're going to make a trade. So I don't want to trade Miller at all, but I'm just kind of preparing myself for the day. I'm going to have a really hard time that we didn't sign back Zadorov and now we're trading Miller. To me, that's like, why even cheer for the team? You know what I mean? But at the same time,
the Zadorov cuts, like, it hurts me too, man. It hurts me too. I wanted to sign him too, man. I did.
Personalized with you that Mason McTavish is a highly underrated player. I agree with that. Awesome. Petey first pick overall and Cousins. I wouldn't mind that.
I'll do that in a heartbeat. Buffalo would not.
Yeah. Okay, let's just see. Miller is more likely moved from the 2. Okay. I think Quinn Hughes will want to play with his brothers one day instead against them. Very possible. Depends. I mean, maybe he wants to stay as the captain and make $14 million a year. If he wants those things, I don't think New Jersey offers him that. I don't think they're going to offer Quinn Hughes $14 million, but he would have to take a cap hit on that, which and we're talking mega bucks, but we're not talking like NFL money here. Quarterbacks are getting 40, 50, 60 million dollars. We're at 14 and thinking that they're, I mean, it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But like you got McDavid making, 12, 13, 14 million. It's nothing compared to these other sports. And they're still, I'm not saying they're poor. It's just a different playing field. And so $14 million to us is a lot on a cap. It's a lot. But I don't know what I'm ranting about there, Jake. Sorry.
It's Quinn Hughes might play with his brothers one day. I just hope it's at the end of his career, not near the middle of it.
Yeah, and it's in Vancouver too, right?
Yeah, so ideally that would be fantastic.
All right, and Blazer fan says Pettersson for Zellweger and McTavish. Ooh, what do you think about that one?
I'm high on McTavish. So, like, if you are trading Pettersson, I think McTavish would be the guy you're targeting there for Anaheim.
I don't know much about Zellweger, though. What, was he injured or something? Is that what it is?
I want to take a quick look at how he's doing recently.
Okay, so that must be Anaheim.
He's 21 years old. I know that. He's not doing that good. Like 12 points, 38 games.
20. Yeah, he's only 21 though.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll pass. Not enough for me.
Justin's frustrated with Aquilini. I understand. When we're losing, everyone's mad at the owner. So, Pettersson to Calgary for Anderson, Zari prospect in a first. I mean, we would do that in a heartbeat, but they wouldn't. They would not do that.
Sorry, I was looking at Zellweger's stats. Like, for a defenseman, like I don't know too much about Zellweger, but like if he's a defensive defenseman, then that's different. I'll have to do more research on that. Sorry about that. Pettersson to Calgary for Anderson, Zari, a prospect in a first. Like Zari a lot, like Anderson a lot, like a
I don't
first
think
rounder
Calgary
a
does
lot. It's probably protected if the first it does happen. And the prospect, which prospect are we talking about here? Anderson's contract is up next season, I believe.
Yeah, it's not this season.
So
It's
that
next.
would have to come with some sort of guarantee he signs in Vancouver for us to make something like that. So would I make that deal with a signed Anderson? How much is Anderson going to make in his next contract? $8 million?
Yeah.
So Zari's really good. Well, how old is Zari?
Zari is young. He is 23 years old. He's on a rookie contract right now. He's also on the IR.
Would I do that deal? I think I probably would, yeah.
I think I would.
Wow, this might be the first like non-Buffalo deal I'll probably do for Pettersson. I don't know, chat. Would you do that deal? Like Zari's really good. Anderson's amazing. Like I would need to get Anderson signed before I do it, but that's not that bad. It's not the worst one I've seen. But Anderson hates Vancouver. He's a hater.
There you go, right? Yeah, and he might get up to $9 million as well. You can't pay the two guys higher than I don't know. Does Hornung doesn't get more than Hughes, right? So Matheson for Joshua. Oof.
I'm not giving up on Joshua. He just suffered way too much back. Like there's been way too much stuff with him recently, with the cancer and the other injury, and there's so much going on. I think he's going to bounce back either by the end of the year or by next season. He'll be a force for us again.
Yeah,
big fan of Joshua.
Yeah, I love that. I love Kuzmenko, but man, my friends who are Flames fans, they're like, please take Kuzmenko back.
He's had a rough year in Calgary, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Here's one. Dreamers here and says, is there a trade from Seattle we can get considering they owe the Canucks considerations? That's a great one. Let me just bring them up.
Let's take a look.
I mean, I love Beniers, but I know that they wouldn't want to move him. But what about Shane Wright? Is he just bust or what?
Oh, he's been better, way better this season. I don't know how many points he has, but I keep seeing his name on my my hockey pool there, so he can't be doing that bad. What's he at now? Let's see. 16 points in 49 game. Okay, it's worse than I thought. 9 goals.
Check that. Have you ever?
But he's been putting up points recently though. Like, look, January 20th to 28th, he has 4 points in 5 games. So,
bro, have you ever seen what's that?
Really nice.
What's that Will Ferrell movie? And it's the dinosaur, and they go back. Is it Land of the Lost or something like that? Remember that one? So, anyways, remember he's like trying to like figure out the dinosaur. It's the T-Rex, and he like decides to go get Dinosaur Whiz, and he's like, okay, he'll never smell us. Have you not seen this?
Probably have, but it's been a while.
Dude, it's one of the funniest things that Phil Ferrell's doing long. So what he does is he douses himself with dinosaur urine. Okay, this is so good. I have to bring it this way. Okay, and he like it gets in his eyes, and he's like, oh. I instantly regret that decision. And he's like, okay, I need to drink this to digest it. And he drinks it and he's like, oh, instantly regret this decision. It's like
this is a bad time to mention I'm not a Will Ferrell guy.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You don't have to be. I'm just saying it wasn't funny.
Let me go back and watch it. Let me see if I laugh. I'm sure I would.
You will. It's one of the best things. That's the only good part of that whole movie, in my opinion. But
hey, check this out. So Shane Wright, in the last 20 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He had almost 17 points in 20 games, roughly. So, like, he's, putting up decent numbers. And also, look at his time on ice, 12 minutes, 13 minutes, 12 minutes, 13 minutes. He's doing this with not a lot of playing time. So if he bumps him up to 17, 18 minutes a night, who knows? Shane Wright can go on a little bit of a heater. So I wouldn't mind having him in that deal. He's not the main piece, but definitely an interesting name there. But I don't know why they'll do that, because they just traded for Capo Caco, and who's playing really well for them there. And what's the trade there? Like, what are we looking at here? Like,
yeah.
Like,
He's
I'm just
saying
trying
that
to.
they owe us. So
I'm just looking at it. I'm trying to put the pieces together. Shane Wright. I don't know.
all right, let's dive into this one. Going to Utah. Someone's suggesting that. Is there anything there that you're like,
A
hey,
lot. There's a lot there, but I don't see them doing it. For example, Logan Cooley would be amazing, and he's having a really good season for Utah. If you want a short-term guy who's older but really talented, Nick Schmaltz is a beauty, and he's really good friends with one of the Canucks. I forgot who. I'm not sure if it was Quinn Hughes or Besser.
He's 28, right-handed shot centerman. Schultz is. Cooley's only 20. I had no idea he was that young.
Look at his numbers too. Look at his numbers.
It's crazy good.
Mm.
I mean, Gunther is the guy we want.
There's Dylan Gunther would be great. We should have had him anyway.
Yes.
Clayton Keller is amazing. Like, that team is on paper. That team looks so good. And then they have Sergachev.
Yes.
Is he hurt right now? He's hurt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They have Sergachev as well.
And everyone wanted us to get Marino.
Like, they could make a deal for Pettersson. I think they could put, if they really wanted Pettersson, I can see them making a deal for Pettersson. Sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Good team.
Just something interesting, right? Someone new. Holy moly, 72. I know this. Listen, we have 246 people that have been watching this stream tonight. we like, who doesn't want to talk trade scenarios? We all do.
I can talk for 5 hours straight. Rev, let's do it.
Okay,
5 hours.
The only problem is I have a basketball practice at 7 a.m. So I have to be there. I have to leave by 6:30. Okay.
I have work at 9 a.m. but it doesn't stop me from staying up late anyway. So
we could go till 6 a.m. Okay, let's do it. Okay. It's like nobody is on the stream. It's just you and I just talking.
So. Well, it's up to you, and it's up to chat. How long do you want to go? Like, if you want to go for another, like, I don't know, 45 minutes or something to make it 2 hours, that's great. Up to you though. You're the boss. It's your channel.
Yeah, we won't go on too much longer. I gotta hit the hay here, but Miller and Desharnais for Brock Nelson and Pulak. No.
Well, it makes it better, probably very short term, but I wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Mike Matheson would do well on a second power play in Vancouver. Puck Mover, good skater. Yeah, that's, I understand, but I'm not huge on him. I'm not really interested. What about this one? Pettersson for Rempe and Hedel. I think Rempe is the next Wilson. He keeps scoring lately. Tons of skill, tons of penalty minutes too. Tons of. I love Rempe. I want a guy like that. A guy to protect. A guy who's a little bit of an intimidator, but he's also so raw that I don't know. I don't think that moves the needle for me, and I wouldn't trade Pettersson for those two guys.
Well, Rempe, I've actually, ironically, this is funny. I wonder if he's one of the guys in my Discord there, but he's one of the guys that, if you look at the trajectory of Calm Wilson, there's a lot of similarities there, from the stats, the concussions, the suspensions, just how much points he put in the minors compared to how much points in the NHL. About the same age when he's projecting around the same time with Tom Wilson. I understand the comparisons, and he could be something close to Tom Wilson, but it's just so early. He's so raw. Like, it could be a complete opposite. He can just be a fourth line fighter, right? So way too much risk there. And obviously Hedo's all right. I wouldn't do that trade, but I do like Rempe. He's just a bit of a meathead right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Justin says PD Chicago for their unprotected first in 2026, and Teravainen helps Hawks speed up their rebuild with EP40 and Bedard. Then hope we win the right to draft McKenna and hope Bedard comes home after that. Oh yeah, well, I mean, that's the dream. That would be awesome. But
I love the hoodie. Hoodie's fantastic. Justin.
Yeah, that's super cool. He works for the Canucks. That's why. He gets all the cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I've met him in person. Justin's a super great guy.
Yeah, I don't think Chicago would trade an unprotected first rounder for anything.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Miller to Florida for Lundell. There's 2 of those there. You guys
Yes. Oh, there's a player I love. There's a guy, and also when Barkov was hurt, he stepped in and he played really well in a top 2C position there. Hell of a player. I don't know if Florida would do something like that, but he's good enough to be a centerpiece of a trade. I really like Lundell. He's one of the guys I am very high on. I just don't know what you're adding towards that. Like, I wouldn't do it 1-for-1. Oh, that's Miller for Lundell. Oh, I thought that was Petey for Lundell. If it's Miller for Lundell, just like the age factor alone, 23, like he could potential number 1, easily a number 2 center.
$5 million.
I'm a huge fan of Lundell. I don't think he's a third liner at all. I think he's just a third liner. But like, they're losing Sam Bennett. Like, if they let Sam Bennett go, Lundell's going to fit that spot, right? So I don't see why they would trade him. You know what?
Because they get Miller.
Is this a hot take? Is this a hot take? I would trade Lundell for, like, obviously JT Miller right now is the better player. He's a 100-point player, but he's way older, right? I don't know. Is that a hot take?
Yeah, I think that's a hot take. That means they would have to sign Sam Bennett, and they would also re-sign Sam Bennett, but then you would have Barkov, Sam Bennett, and JT Miller down the middle somewhere. And it's like, wow, that would be unbelievable for them.
Yeah, I love Lundell. Oh my God, I think I would actually do that trade just for youth purposes, and just I think the ceiling is really high on Lundell. So
yeah, there's got to be a moment where we actually say yes to a trade that someone offers. Right? So.
Wait, we did some Utah one like earlier. I don't know. Chat, would you do Lundell for JT Miller just because like Lundell's what, like 22, 23 years old? Like, his numbers are good.
And this is one you wouldn't do, Miller for Bennett, because Bennett's a RFA or a UFA after.
He's a UFA, so
you don't do that deal. But let's just see what the chat's saying here. Basketball, smashkaball. He's like, let's go all night. I love that. That's awesome. Oh, I saw this one too. Sorry, I'm just switching. ADHD.
It's okay.
Pettersson for Wyatt Johnston and Harley. I've seen this one as well for Miller, and I would do that for Miller, but the Pettersson, that actually is tempting as well. I like Wyatt Johnston a lot, and Harley.
I would do that. I would say yes to that trade so fast that they wouldn't even be able to counter. Okay, like, it would be yes for either Miller or Pettersson. Wyatt Johnston has absolutely ridiculous potential. Harley is a number 1/number 2 defenseman. They're both young. Like, how old is Harley?
Oh, he's young. I'm bringing it up right now. Harley is
23 years old. Like, I would do that in a heartbeat. But I don't think
23 and what is?
Yeah, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that.
Why it's 21? Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, they're not doing that deal. No chance. But Rupe Hintz is another really an interesting name. I know he struggled a bit this year, but there's a fast guy. Every time I see him play, he always plays well. If you want to do the dollar store version of that deal, you can go Rupe Hintz. That sounds mean. I mean, like, the lesser version of that deal would be, I guess would be like Rupe Hintz and what? Who's the defenseman we'd be looking at here? Dallas Stars lines. Not Heiskanen for sure. Yeah, there is no. I guess maybe Bichelle or something like that. But like, I don't know. I like Rupe Hintz as well. So that would be some interesting name I would trade, say, JT Miller for example. I'll do that. Yeah. Like, what's his contract?
I'm not sure. It is something low.
Oh, why? That's heavier than I thought.
Why it's like low?
No, Rupe Hintz, 8.5 almost.
Oh yeah, so that's a no-go then.
What's his points this year, man? I know he's not playing well, but let me take a look here.
Adam, thanks for the comment. I don't know about upgrading the scoring trainers Isn't the Twins help us out a little bit on that too? I don't know. Not sure if you can get much better than that.
Scoring trainers, we have enough scoring like coaches and stuff like that. We need a power play coach though. Let's be honest. Looking through Rupe Hintz, like he's had 32 points in 46 games, and last season he had 65 and 80, and then 2 seasons before that he had 75 and 73, which is very nice. And then the season before that he had 72 and 80. So he's averaging around 70 points a season when he's playing up to his standards. So, you know what? Just to change the dynamic in the locker room, if they really did want to do a 1-for-1 deal, maybe I'll do it for Miller. Probably not. I would say I would still need to get something else in that trade. Just because Rupe had some injury concerns too, right? You have to look at that as well. But I do like the player.
Yeah. There's so many things in here. Thank you everyone for being here. And here's a fun one. He's saying Pettersson and Besser for Joel Eriksson, Ek, and Boldy. Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I'll do that in a heartbeat. But Besser is a UFA, so like,
but he'll be signing if it's Minnesota.
Yes, but okay, sure. But then you're trading.
But that's
think about how much cap. It's like yeah, exactly. 19 million in cap. How much is Boldy making right now?
Not that.
Yeah, Eriksson
right here.
So like cap wise, that would be phenomenal for Vancouver.
Well, they have $100,000 in cap space right now. So
like cap, like chat, like what I
7 million.
People really underrate cap because I think cap is like such a huge part when it comes to building a team, especially when you're thinking about trades. Like, okay, let's just say you're making a trade, but hey, you're getting an extra 5, 6, 7 million in cap. Well, that's the difference between getting a Willie Desharnais compared to someone significantly better, or getting Zadorov, right? Like there you go, right? Having an extra $1 million or $2 million in cap, you get Zadorov now, right? So,
Carmen, thank you for being here. Don't think PD is getting traded. It'll be Miller for a subpar package. You know what? Well, not according to what's been reported today. So that's why we're having this conversation. And I know that it might feel far-fetched for you, but there are talks about both of these guys getting traded. So that's why we're having the conversation. And so I know it's hard for us to understand that, or like not understand, but like say, are they really going to do it? I think it's hard, but it could.
And it's fun.
It is fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Again, Miller for Bennett. That's not a good trade for us at all. I would want Forsling too in that deal for Lundell. Oh yeah,
we had him already.
Yeah. Right? Miller for Bennett. If Bennett resigns for $5 to $6 million, I guess short term.
Bennett is gonna get like that. UFA market is so bad. Like, would you be shocked if Bennett gets like 7 or 8 million? I wouldn't.
Right.
I really wouldn't.
Again, Joel Eriksson Ek would be great. I'd be open to that one.
I'll do that deal.
This is the one that you like, right?
Yeah, I would still say you need to add a little bit more for Hintz. Like I think Hintz would get a little bit more. Like Miller plus Rupe plus, or sorry, Miller for Hintz and something. But like I like the framework of that deal.
Yeah,
sure, I like the framework of that deal because I'm a Hintz guy. So
yeah,
even though I said his name wrong like 12 times, but that's okay.
I love this one. I will shave my head if anyone is traded before JT Miller. And you know what? Personalized, I appreciate the boldness, but you will shave your head anytime. So I know you'll definitely do that. So this isn't actually that. You should shave your head and then write Kempner Canucks in permanent marker. That's what you should. That's what I would be like,
yeah, really good.
How's that for awkward?
You can do whatever you like.
Yeah. Free country. This one's okay. Okay, I don't mind that one.
Yeah, I don't know. They wouldn't do that deal. I
don't think
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Right? Yeah.
Boldy he's amazing, and Rossi's really good. Like, I know Millie is great and all, but like with all the drama and everything, his value is not that high. Like that high.
Okay, what about this one?
I would love to get Zadorov back. I know he's been kind of criticized. Like, he's been up and down in Boston. I would love to find a way to get Zadorov back. Absolutely. I don't know how. I don't know who I'll trade, but
Well, you would have to move like Susie
I wouldn't do that
as well, just so you know. Like Susie and somebody, and I mean that's the thing, right? Like if you could do Susie and Höglander, then you're like, do it. You know?
But I really don't know what Zadorov's trade value would be in Boston. I have no idea. But he would be a good fit for us. Any defenseman would be. I would be a good fit for a defense right now.
Right? So Justin's thinking if Miller and Besser went there, it'd be Kaprizov, Miller, Besser, Foligno, Eriksson, Ek, and Zuccarello. Wow, that's an amazing team. Wow.
Yeah, that'd be nice. And Besser had a really great playoffs too, which is important to mention as many times as possible. So if a general manager is watching this stream, they can be like, "Oh, he did have a really good playoffs."
Yeah, right.
Just trying to raise the value. That's all.
I don't know about this deal at all. That one doesn't like excuse me. Wow.
Are you tired? He's got basketball practice at 7 a.m.
No, I know.
He's getting too tired. Let's get to it.
Minton, yeah, I don't know, 20 years old.
Minton?
I don't think I would do that. That's just not enough. It's not even close to being enough, in my opinion. But I mean, I appreciate the effort there.
I love that.
Okay. Whether EP40 or Miller is traded isn't clear, but at some point the Canucks have serious issues. Yes. With a trade of EP40 or Miller having potential to begin. Yeah. No, that's exactly why we're doing this video, David.
Right.
Appreciate that. What about this? Could have had Boldy, but took Podkolzin. Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
Here's something I would like to admit. Okay. Even though I did draft Matthew Tkachuk over Olli Juolevi that year, I did.
Same.
I did do it. I was actually in the arena when for the fan party there, and they picked Olli Juolevi, and I was very sad. But then I'm like, oh, maybe it's gonna work, and no, it didn't work. But you know what? I was perfectly happy with Podkolzin at the time to pick. Remember, he was like, some people had him like top 3, top 4 guy talent wise in that draft. The only reason he wasn't like mocked to us at all ever was because we were not taking Russian players at the time. And Podkolzin like had like decent ceiling, but he had a great floor, which you're proving right now. Like, he does have a good floor, right? So I was okay. And obviously, looking back, Boldy's obviously the much better player. But at the time, I can't say I was upset at taking Podkolzin in general, because I like Podkolzin and he's such a hardworking guy. It didn't work out, and I think they should have gave him a little bit more time. But that's the way it goes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mike's questioning our definition of fun because we're dismantling our star team instead of competing for the Stanley Cup. Well, I don't know if you've watched the team this year, Mike, but we don't really have a star team at the moment, and we're not competing for a Stanley Cup. We're not even in the playoffs at this moment. So I'm with you. I believe that what we saw last year was fun, and we literally had a legitimate shot, but there's something off. So, yeah. So, okay. I need to call. I need to tap out. I'm sorry. I'm weak at this.
You're doing great.
It's late for me because I got to get up early. But thank you, everyone, so much for being here tonight, for all the suggestions. I do apologize we didn't get to the chat quick enough. But there's a lot to talk about, and like I like comments like that. They would never do this. I don't want Horvat back. I want Barzal, but they would never do Barzal. There's so many things to talk about, and it's been fun. I have no idea what they're gonna do, and I feel like I'm gonna get disappointed no matter what happens, Jake. Like, honestly, that if that New York Rangers deal happened, I would have been so disappointed.
I'll be upset too,
because you didn't get enough back. And that's the thing. Like, if you're going to trade Miller or Pettersson, you got to get enough back to make it worth it. And if you're not, just keep them and just figure out the rift thing. I don't know, but I guess they're saying that you can't. I don't know.
Yeah, they're saying they can't. They're saying it's too deep, and we're gonna have to trade one of these two guys, if not both of these two guys. So, if that's gonna happen, we're gonna have a lot more fun discussions and more content, and for you, lovely Trev, and it's gonna be very interesting. And honestly, like, just at the end of the day, like, I just want them to do well. Like, I want them to go on a heater. I want to make the playoffs. I want to win a Stanley Cup before I'm dead. Like, that's all I really want, right? So that's why it's so frustrating, that all this is happening. And, like, it's just, I really wish there's just more organization in the organization and less drama, I guess.
Absolutely. I missed this from Justin. Incredible. Thank you, Justin, for the donation. Jake and I are both high on Pekara. We like him a lot. I just don't see Buffalo giving him up, but boy, it'd be nice to get him. Why can't EP40 do that for 11.6? That's the big question. I don't know why he can't. He has in the past. It's just it's been 12 months of struggle, and it's been hard to watch. So I wish we could see 100-point PD back. That's what I wish.
He's going to go on a heater right now. After this stream, Pettersson's going to get, I'm predicting it. Here we go. 10 points in the next 7 games.
And my prediction is Pettersson's getting traded.
Oh, ouch. Ooh.
I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Thanks for having me, Rev. I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much for being here, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Sure have you gotten any more subscribers? Come on.
I don't know. I haven't looked, to be personally honest.
I hope that you've got
it's fine. Like, listen, I'm sure we're gonna talk on Twitter. I'm sure we're gonna talk on YouTube. I'm friends with a lot of people, and there's a lot of amazing YouTube content creators out there. And if you guys don't know, like, I'm actually a YouTube content creator for wrestling as well. I'm known as the Botch Guy over there, and Royal Rumble's coming up next week, which is going to be amazing. And someone's asking me to place a link to his channel. I literally cannot, because you need 100 subscribers to make a custom link.
I can, right? I could do that for you.
Maybe, maybe it works. I don't know.
See.
But anybody, any wrestling fans here? Yeah.
Doodle Hockey.
Royal Rumble.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not a big wrestling fan anymore, but that actually gets me excited about, like, I love Royal Rumbles back in the day. So
you should watch it. It's on Netflix now.
It is free, right?
Yes, it's on Netflix. Well, if you pay for Netflix, and
How come I can't find it? Where is this?
Your algorithm has failed you.
Doodle Hockey is one word.
It's at Doodle Hockey. Yeah, you can't find it because it's hard to find, because apparently I don't exist properly, but I do exist. I'll show you.
There it is. I got it right here. Okay, I'm putting it into the chat right now, everyone. Please follow this. That would just make my night.
Help me get a custom link so I can actually share my thing. But
here, right here.
Oh wow, it works for you. Yours works. That's lovely. But yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And chat, like, you guys are great. I know we don't all agree on everything together, but Rev, I really appreciate you having me, man. It's really you're a really nice guy, man, and the helping me out and all this type of stuff. Like, I really do appreciate it. It's really nice of you.
You're welcome. And I love having you on. It's been great. I've had a really fun time with you tonight. So, great. All right, everyone, we're cheering this team on, and hope that everyone has a phenomenal night. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be on for my live stream. I think I'm going to have one half of the hockey talk on the Rock with me. So make sure you come back tomorrow night after the game, and we're going to be going live probably at 9:30 p.m. Pacific time. So thanks everyone for being here. And of course, we're going to cheer this team on no matter what. Even if JT Miller gets traded, it's going to be hard for me. An hour, and it's going to be an hour and 40 minutes this stream went. You guys all deserve a medal for being here for so long. But let's cheer this team on. Go Canucks, go.